Yo, what's up guys, SK here, and I don't usually cover single player games, but this one is just too good to miss out on, because it touches on a few things that I like, and one of those things is going to be mythology, specifically Chinese mythology. I do love all forms of mythology equally, but first of all, I love my Norse mythology, my Greek mythology, my Japanese mythology, and my Chinese mythology, but the few that do stand out to me are Chinese and Greek mythology. But let's get into this game. It's called Black Myth Wukong. Now, the fact that it's named this way has me thinking, are they going to do other Black Myth games if this is successful? Are they going to do Black Myth, say another Chinese mythology figure such as one of my favorites, Neza? Because, like I said, Neza is one of my favorites. But anyway, or just, a simple story on the Dragon King, the Jade Emperor. We don't have to have anything that's like, anything all out there, but Anyway, this game, it looks beautiful, first of all. From the article I read, I found out that this might be coming to the next gen consoles. It was kind of chopped and written in Chinese, so I had to translate it, and I could only get a few things out of it that made sense, to be honest. But from what I got out of it is that they are trying to get this to come out on next gen consoles. The gameplay looks like it would be what you would expect on a next gen console, to be honest. This just looks so crisp. And right now we're following the Golden Cicada around, and of course this is gonna be our main character Wukong, flexing his transformations. And for most of you that don't know, Wukong is actually a character that has based a lot of characters in Japanese anime and stuff like that are based off of Wukong, such as some people's favorite character, Goku. Son Goku, of course. The original artwork for Son Goku was based off of Son Wukong, the power pole, the riding on the flying cloud, cloud Nimbus, and the ability to transform into a greater ape, which Son Wukong has the ability to do all of each. Each one of these. Now, right now, you see he's using a form of the power pole. I'm not sure if this is the final power pole, because later on in the clip, there's an actual sign of this. But you can see here he's fighting one of the bestial creatures in this forest. It's probably the Forbidden Forest. I'm not really sure what forest this is. They don't really allude to what forest this specifically is. But he is fighting beast-like spirits in this forest, and he's fighting his way through this forest. We don't know if they're corrupted or what the reason he's fighting any of these for, but this is just awesome looking to me. And here he's coming up against a creature. I wanted to say this was Neza at first because of the flaming staff, but I don't think it's Neza. I think it's just a creature that has a staff that, that looks kind of like Neza's, because that looks really like Neza's staff, except for Neza's staff only has fire on one end. But who knows? We're not even going to go that far. But Wukong does like to fight the other creatures in heaven a lot. He likes to think that he's the strongest in heaven. And I'm thinking this is a story that's going up to leading up to his, godhood. How they have the God of War series where, Kratos started off as a basic, regular demigod, and then became a god in the end or whatever. So I'm thinking this is what the story is pretty much about when it comes to this, is that he's going to start off as his basic, going through his trials of becoming an actual god, and then he ends up becoming Son Wukong, the god that we know and love in Chinese mythology. There are a lot of media out that tell you who Son Wukong is, based on just movies and books. There's also the famous book Journey to the West, of course, which was mentioned in the beginning of this, and by the old man speech in the beginning. So you see here he picks up the staff, which is does that mean you gotta go around and collect the staffs? Are the staffs gonna be your only weapon? Because he is well versed at staff fights, but he does use other weapons. He uses swords, he uses bow and arrows, but his best work can be done with a staff, to be honest. Now you can see he's hiding from a giant. I don't understand what this is. Are we gonna be able to fight the giants later on? There are giant enemies later on in the trailer as well that you'll be able to see that Son Wukong encounters, and giant bosses that just make you think, wow, I'm gonna have to fight these at some point. So yeah, now you have a little cutscene here, but anyway, a little bit more background on Son Wukong. Son Wukong is, like I said, if you want to think who to base him on, if you are a fan of Norse mythology or just Marvel comics in general, base him on, say he's a cockier Thor, because that's what he is. He's a cockier Thor. He's very arrogant. He thinks he can fight anyone. He can beat anyone. And unlike other gods, he thinks the way that he should beat everybody is just by killing them. Early on, at least. Like, when he fights an enemy, he thinks that they should, like, if it's an enemy that's completely considered evil, they should die and that's it. That's early on, though. Later on, he becomes more lenient towards, defeating his enemies. And that leads to him getting some people that want to train under him because, they see him as one of the stronger gods, which he is one of the stronger gods. And he is one of the trickier gods, to be honest. He's like a Thor mixed with Loki. It's like Thor and Loki, they came together and had like a weird, strong, angry, arrogant child. We're not going to talk about fanfics right now anyway. But yeah, there's a lot of things in this trailer that just make me super happy. It looks like the world may be like a linear style world. It won't be like a completely open world, which kind of, but that's fine. Like, I guess being led around would not be totally bad. I'm saying linear style world, like it's like God of War, where you go towards an area. You're always going to be going towards the objective no matter what. You're not going to be able to stray from the path that you are on. That's what I mean when I say linear style world. So here you see he's fighting a bunch of spirits at once. So there's going to be horde battles, of course. That goes with any style game to where you're becoming made into, a higher style being. You're going to have to put your abilities to the test. And here he becomes the Greater Ape, which is one of his famous transformations, where people thought that he'd be like, just all primal and, this thing. And this is one of the things that is based, that Son Goku is based off of. The character from Dragon Ball Z is based off of that. He has a Greater Ape form that he goes into, and he completely goes primitive. Sun Wukong, however, can't control his form. I think there's like one part where in the mythology where he's not able to control his form because he's driven crazy for some reason. I forgot what it was. But let's not get into that. I'm not a complete expert on Chinese mythology. I just know what I know from what I've read and from what I've seen in movies and cartoons and adaptations of those cartoons and those movies. And there are other works out there that I haven't seen yet. Personal little backstory on this part is because I'm from the islands, and a lot of things that we get in the islands are Chinese movies. And this is actually what led me to knowing who Sun Wukong is, because one of the earlier Chinese movies I watched was a movie with Sun Wukong in it, and what stood out to me was the ability that he rode on a cloud and used the power pole. So here you see he's fighting this giant wolf. I'm gonna say wolf style creature. It looks like a wolf. It moves like a werewolf. I want to say Wendigo, but I'm gonna stick with wolf because Wendigo is like a western thing. So he's fighting like this werewolf style creature, and this thing is batting him around. As you can see, it's one of the bigger boss fights. But it's not even the biggest you'll see in this trailer. Like, I'm giving away the spoilers right now. This is not the biggest boss fight you're gonna see in this trailer. Now, this fight is dynamic on its own because we've seen boss fights that are this big. We've seen things like this being done on games like God of War and this other game on Neo, the Souls-like game Neo, of course, and Sekiro, where you have larger than character bosses that you have to fight, and they go flying around the stages, and you have to go into these little scenes with them, and block a certain move they do, because if you don't, it's probably going to kill you. More than likely, it will kill you. But this game doesn't seem to be like a Souls-like game. This game seems to be just like a God of War style, where you fight the enemy and you go through the stages. Now you see here, this is one of my favorite things that Wukong does. His hair, all of his hair has magical properties. So he can pull out a piece of hair and do a bunch of different magical tricks with it. They're not magical, they're not tricks. Well, they are tricks because he's kind of a trickster. But the main thing that he usually does is pull out a piece of hair and transform it into a bunch of clones. And those clones will go ham on anything they're fighting. Sometimes the clones will be depicted as having like their own sentience, to where they stop and make jokes, or they'd be like, wait, why am I doing all the work? And stuff like that. But and this seem like the clones are just like straightforward in this. I'm not sure if they're gonna do it later on in the game, where he does the clone thing, and then the clones are like, they gain their own little taglines or whatever later on. And then here you see him transform into the creature that he actually won the staff from earlier, which I'm not saying this is Neza, because I'm not sure if this is Neza or not, or it's supposed to be a depiction of Neza, but it looks kind of like Neza to me. I'm not going to get into that though. But you see here he has the moves of the creature as well, because you saw the creature doing these moves earlier, and it's kind of just saying that like this game is gonna have a lot of different like fighting styles when it comes to these spears or these weapons that he's gonna be able to collect. Because I'm gonna go ahead and say that he's gonna be able to collect a lot more weapons than just this, based on some of the bosses you see later on as well. There you see he's finally beating the creature, and he transforms back. In the bottom left hand, you saw a timer though that shows you that you're going to be able to transform the creature for a limited amount of time. Once again, that's not final because, you know, as I said in the beginning, that all footage is not final until whatever the release is. Now, once again, this is what I said earlier, that Wukong usually goes with a finishing blow to kill the enemy, but here you see he's stopped by another staff, and this right here is a staff that I know as the true power pole because of the insignias that are lighting up on it. So that the power pole usually has those insignias lit up on it, which points to the fact that it is the power pole. And this looks like a future Wukong, or maybe it's, you know, him having some type of epiphany or something. Who knows? But it shows a bunch of scenes right here that it shows him just like going through the world, and once again, we don't know what this world is going to be. A chaotic world, a world of like destroyed gods or something like that. We don't know what the world is going to be. He's fighting like a bunch of different things. He's over here flying from tree to tree like he's freaking Tarzan. I don't know what this creature is exactly. It looks like a giant, and this one freaked me out. It's like a giant roach bug. I don't know. And here you see he's fighting more of these beast spirit creatures. This creature has a lightning sword, which we're probably going to get later on. This is clearly a harpy, but of, you know, Chinese origin. I think he's riding on Buddha right now, to be honest. I'm not sure what that is. It just showed the head. I'm not going to allude to that's Buddha or not. These 4 giant creatures that he fights, that has to be a sure as rap scene. And this, of course, he's going to go fight the Dragon Emperor. I can already tell. He's going to either chase down the Dragon Emperor or fight the Dragon Emperor. But the fact that you get to ride on a cloud makes it awesome. And then I'm guessing this is the part where he fights the armies of heavens. The armies of heaven, which is a staple Wukong thing because like I said, he likes to fight. Now, this game is beautiful to me. And that's pretty much all the trailer. I am 1000% excited for this game. I love mythology, like I said. I love the mythologies of the world. And I can't wait for something like this to come out because I want to explore it. I want to learn more. Mostly I want to learn more about the background of the character, because there are things that you can never find out from just, you know, whatever perspective we have out here already. There are other things that other people know that they will put into games or other forms of art that will tell you things like what we don't know already. And this is one thing I'm really excited for, the storytelling of the game, and just to learn more of who Sun Wukong is, as like I said, he is one of my favorite mythology figures. That being said, guys, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and share if you found this interesting. If you are going to be looking forward to Black Myth Sun Wukong, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the future. Peace.